Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. Today we're talking about autistic horse babies. That's right, autistic foals. There's a syndrome, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's something like equine newborn detachment disorder or something like that. Where sometimes a baby horse will be born and be basically autistic, have show no signs or interest in the mother, and be very detached and stim, which is like in humans they do stuff like this. Like if you saw the video of that autistic guy with the toy truck, he was stimming. He had the toy truck in front of his eyes and he was making it go like this, and then they trip out on that or whatever. But the autistic horse babies do something very similar, and they kind of like will go and kind of gently knock their head into the side of something over and over and over again, right? Well, the vets noticed that the reason that this happened almost always was when it was in a really quick birth, or they had to do a cesarean. And so they determined that the way you deal with it is you have to squeeze them. You squeeze the shit out of them for like 20 minutes or whatever. And then you let them up, and they pop right back up, and they're normal. And they go to their mom. And some people have indicated that there might be some sort of correlation with human autism, but there's no data to suggest that there is. But there is certainly data in horses that suggests that there is in horses. So the point is, in human beings, autism is often linked to very low FE, I would say, and a sense of social detachment in general. And I wonder if there's some sort of physical cue, as with the horses, that causes the baby horse to quote unquote wake up and be aware of the attachment stuff that they're supposed to do, and if there's some sort of physical cue in humans that is lacking in people who are autistic. Any thoughts?
I've heard of autism, well, I'm not sure about autism in general, but Asperger's syndrome. I've heard of it being like the circuits are running, the brain circuits are like running too tight of loops. They're like too structured
Hmm.
or something, too sensitive, too structured. And so it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but getting the disrupted, putting some disorder in the system would actually make it work better.
Do you think that's what you did with? Well, I don't know if you want to talk about that openly, but
Yeah, yeah,
do you think that's what maybe you were doing with the alcohol?
yes, I do think so.
Okay, interesting. Well, because they have, I think that ADD is more or less the opposite thing, or I don't know if it is. I have no evidence to support this, but it would feel intuitively nice if it were the opposite, that my loops are running too wild, or something like that. And they have a drug for that, but they don't really have a drug for the other one.
It's alcohol.
It's alcohol, maybe. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the drug. People need to, if their kids are autistic, they need to get them drunk. Maybe that's it. I mean, that could be the fucking solution right there. Megabro, you may have just discovered the solution for autism, because I bet nobody ever tries that. I bet you nobody ever tries that. Let's get our autistic kid drunk. Nobody ever says, let's do that. I'm not saying get him drunk constantly, homie. Saying like the autistic horse baby, get him drunk once. Get him really drunk once and see what happens. Right? If your kid's autistic, might as well try it. I'm not saying don't make him an alcoholic, for God's sake. My understanding of, I mean, this may not be generalized at all, but I suspect it is, because I've been to AA meetings. I'll tell you who you never see in AA meetings. Anybody who acts like an INTJ. I've never seen an INTJ in an AA meeting. I've been to shitloads of them. I've never seen a single person who acts like an INTJ in an AA meeting. Isn't that crazy? I know they're rare, but I've not seen one.
I tell you, I feel less INTJ-ish after Friday night. That Friday night.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I mean, here's the thing. Alcohol solves ADD too, by the way. It basically, that's another solution for ADD, which is my previous medication that I used to take for ADD was called getting drunk all the time. But I don't think that 2 tight loops is going to promote you to constantly get drunk in the way that 2 loose loops are. You know, if in
Right.
fact that analogy were accurate. Let you tighten up my loops a little bit there. That's what I'll say when somebody asks me what am I doing. Oh, I'm tightening my loops. You have a hypothesis that alcohol makes you act like you're dual. That hypothesis is not true. Alcohol did not make me act like an ISFJ.
I think it just messes with the organized things, like the judging side. So you really probably, if you're a receiver, you probably shouldn't do it. If you're a judge, I've heard of ENTJs that act like this.
You act like it.
It wouldn't work the other way.
Yeah, I don't think an ESFP acts like an INTJ when she's drunk, right? Um, I can tell you, an ENTP does not act like an ISFJ when drunk. They act more like an ENTP in the worst
Right.
possible ways. You know.
It exaggerates in that direction and not in the other direction.
So that's an interesting theory. Um, I'm sure people are going to call me incredibly irresponsible to suggest that people try that if they have an autistic kid. But I'm just some random dude giving you my own random suggestion. If I had an autistic kid, having heard this conversation, I'd try it because you don't really have a whole hell of a lot to
Or at
lose. Your
least
kid's
look
already
up,
autistic.
look up if anyone's tried the research.
Oh, well, you could do that. You could do that kind of crazy stuff. Mega Bro, you're talking crazy talk. Research something first. On that note, I think you should listen to Mega Bro, do your own research, think about whatever you want to do with your own kid. Obviously, is what you should do with your own kid. Don't listen to host Eric. Remember, like everybody else in the world, I'm just some random dude. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.